Victoria Simca in the garage. It's very, very cold outside, so there's a couple hours on the charger, but she fired right up, drove in, just like we drove it yesterday. There's a few upgrades that we want to do, things that we want to change up a little bit just from spending time driving it, and we want to keep it, put more miles on it. So there's a few things on the interior we want to upgrade, but the big thing I want to handle is something fell on top of the roof, caused some damage when the car was on its way back from Vegas and the racetrack. So I really want to get that fixed. I was trying to figure out easy ways to do it, and then if we're gonna fix it, we might as well do something cool, right? I mean, anybody can fix it back to the way it was. So as I was researching, trying to figure out ideas with it, I came across a 6th gen Nissan Maxima, and I guess like the 3rd gen Nissan Quest had these as well. But it's called a Skyview window, and it's a fixed window. It doesn't open up like the sunroof or anything you'd see in like your 80s Camaro, and it also doesn't run from driver to passenger side. It actually runs from front to back, which is pretty freaking cool. Just kind of get more light in there. The interior's all black anyway, so I think it'll just be really cool. So hopefully it works out as I planned. Keep our fingers crossed. Chop a big hole in that roof and make it happen. Here's the template laid out over the top of the window plug that we're going to be using. So we're going to take that, lay it out on the roof of the car. Hurting your feelings?
Oh, that ripping the headliner out of this beautiful car is hurting my feelings.
All right, so we measured, centered, got a nice little tape line set up for where, close to where I want to cut. I want to put I want to cut 3/4 of an inch smaller than this. So I'm going to do one more tape line, mark it with a silver Sharpie so I got a good line, and then we'll cut that out. But when you come down here, at this angle, you can see where the roof flattened in. So that whole area there will be completely gone and replaced with that Skyview window. So I think that's about the perfect solution, and it's going to look really cool.
Ow.
A little bit bigger. This one's for you, Johnny. So whenever anybody asks me for any kind of advice for the work that I do, people that are looking to get into it or starting it or do it as a hobby, the first thing I always say is don't be afraid to just do it. You know, you're not gonna ruin it. There's always a way to fix it. So we had one of those little scares yesterday. The curve on the glass that we wanted to use from the Skyview was not going to work. So we were not going to be able to get the roof to come down or go up to where we wanted it. So I actually flattened out the frame, took the frame completely apart, took it off the sheet metal, straightened it back out, welded the frame back together, and set it back in place. And I've got it rosette welded in now, and she's good and flat, better than it was before. And yeah, she's looking good now. The plan is, so that we can't use that glass that we had on here originally, is we're gonna go over to our guy that built the plastic bed slats for the 1940 Dodge, for the clear bed floor slats. We're gonna have them make us a piece of glass for this, or a piece of polycarbonate actually. So we're gonna get the body work done tomorrow, at least get it started, get the inside of this car cleaned up because it is a mess, bag the rest of it off, and hopefully get it ready to get some paint on this thing. And then I'm going to help Amy. We are changing all of the wood grain dash panels and everything on the dash, and rewrapping the dash, and doing more of a metal looking trim for the panels instead of the wood. So that'll look really cool. We got her wiped down, cleaned up. I bagged up the outside of the car, and I'm gonna start doing body work. Got the welds grinded down over here, taped up the hole. All right, ran over the whole thing with some 80 grit with file and the DA, feathered in all the edges there where it goes into the new metal. I'm gonna put a quick little light strip of filler in around the opening where we just welded in, and then we'll slowly start blocking so I can get this thing into primer. All right, well, here she is, all blown off. All of the body work is done. Got like 2 light little skim coats. She's ready to go into the booth and get some primer sprayed on her. Okay, so the body work is finally finished on this thing. It looks perfect. We've got our first layer of, well, actually 5 coats of primer on this thing, so we can get it blocked out and ready for black paint. So you're looking at the guide coat right now. We'll go over this thing with blocks and 400 and get ready to spray it black and get some clear on it. All right, so we get a little closer look at what we got going on over here. So this section over here, you can see there's no scratches. All the dark guide coat is gone. It is perfectly flat. So we thought, and most people do, think it's perfectly flat when you're done with the body work. You can just prime it and paint it, and I've seen a lot of the cars like that. This is one little pass with the flat block. So even though it felt perfectly smooth, looked perfectly smooth, this is all the little spots you're missing if you don't go back and block all of this stuff back out. So right here, this is a little bit of a high spot with a ridge on it. And when you're sanding and doing all of this stuff, the spots where the bare metal is, and the spots where the filler is, and the spots where the paint is, and that's horrible grammar, but they all sand at different levels. So if you're running a block across this, you're gonna take more material off up here when it was filler than you are here where it was paint, and you're not gonna take any material off where the metal was. So even though it felt perfectly flat, we're gonna make it that way. Smile.
We're gonna make it that way?
We are gonna make it perfectly flat, yes. Felt like it, looked like it, now it will be. Here she is. All the 400 is done. Amy went around and pinholed the last few little spots that were left in there, so those are all smoothed out, ready to go. We retaped everything, rebagged it, and always run this paper over the top of the plastic, because anytime I do a sealer base and clear on anything, that plastic, even though it says it's flake free, always shoots flakes up. So I always run a little bit of paper around the rim on there just so that we don't have to worry about that. But otherwise, she's ready to go. I'm gonna start spraying some sealer, let that dry a little bit, and jet black and clear. It has been a long time coming. This thing's been sitting on the back burner since it got back from Vegas in 2019. It has had a lot of miles on it. It's gone to a lot of shows, but there were a few things that we didn't have time to do before it went to Vegas, or we just really hadn't thought of doing, before it went. But now that we've got some miles on it, we've driven it a little bit, there was a few things we wanted to handle. The first thing was that roof issue. There was that big dent in there that we weren't sure how that happened. So getting this skylight in is huge. You catch it from the right angle, it just disappears. It's not even there. The thing looks like it did when we first built it. The door handles are all working correctly. We replaced the glass that had issues that broke out on the racetrack, redid all the seals on that. Everything on this thing is just freaking operating at 100%. So cannot wait to drive it. The interior cockpit with all the new brushed steel, new trim pieces, new trim around the top of the dash, everything rewrapped, even did the shifter, got rid of all of that wood grain. This looks fantastic.